The Titans, the division is ours. I don't care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
Everybody catches.
I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. It's kush. I love me too much and your brain turn to mush. Fall flat on your tush. You couldn't handle the product I push. I guess I'm just used to it, I just do it. Like Nike swoosh, none of that Reggie Bush cause I'm top shelf. I ain't got wealth, but I'm on my grind like park rails. I'd sell the shoes right off my 2 feet, then add one, that's a yard sale. Got dumb bars that be smarter than Harvard, Yale. Take your pictures elsewhere, you wanna be TMZ, I wanna be VIP. Quit pandering, I'm not answering cause I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. All of that barking, no bite. That's alright, not everyone can be the big dog. Take a walk, kick rocks, can't keep me out cause I pick locks. They hearing me knocking, I'll never be stopping. I keep this shit popping like lip gloss. Get me pissed off and the whole squad point the red dots. Something like chicken pox, give me all what you got like it raw, shimmy y'all. Feeling like Tony Hawk, never stop, let it rock, better not get involved. Running a marathon and you a tourist. This my world, you a tourist. Fuck with the bull and you get in the horns, I'm a tourist. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop.
Hey everyone, and welcome again to another edition of the Titans Fan Battle podcast, brought to you as always by Fan Battle Sports Network. And always remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and join us over on fanbattlesports.com where you can find the latest blogs, opinions, articles on all your favorite teams. And back again with my co-host Tyler. Say Titan up to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hopefully you guys are basking in the future of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, future can't get here fast enough this year. But I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and at least a better Christmas than what the Jaguars are looking at right now. So the Jaguars coach, Doug Peterson, he said at a press conference before practice that Trevor Lawrence was returning at today's practice, and he did not. So it's unclear, did he have a setback? He's now not practiced at all this week. Is he going to play on Sunday? So, and this comes after 4 straight losses. So, I mean, the Jags season's in a total tailspin at this point.
I think that in my opinion, if I'm a quarterback and I'm in a 3-way tie for first place in my division, with 2 weeks left in the season, I'm still playing. I would be the Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs who's, got a torn MCL, ACL against the Seahawks and still throwing the ball, if I was the quarterback. If he doesn't play, I think the Jags may need to reevaluate who their starting quarterback is.
Yeah, and I can't think of who their backup even is at this point. Like who would they even turn to?
Who are the Jacksonville Jaguars even playing this weekend?
Carolina Panthers. That's the only good thing, that they should be able to win this game no matter who their quarterback is.
I mean, yes, but I mean, the Carolina Panthers put up 30 points last week and took the Green Bay Packers to the final seconds of that game. So it should be an easy win. I'll give that to you. But I think Bryce Young is slowly starting to get into his rhythm. Obviously a little late, but that's a tough one. I mean, definitely the Jaguars have the better roster by far. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Jags play upset this weekend after the performance that Bryce Young had last week.
Yeah, and they were supposed to lose to the Texans as well, and the Panthers upset the Texans. They pushed the Titans and the Colts, so they've kind of had the AFC South's number this year as well.
They have played pretty well against the AFC South. Like I said, if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play this weekend, and I get you need to focus on your health, but to my understanding, his injury is very minor. And again, you're 2 weeks out from the playoffs, and your team is potentially looking on the verge of either one, losing the divisional title, or two, being kicked out of playoffs, period, because you've got some teams in there that are really fighting hard. And I don't know if Jacksonville loses one of their next two games, if they'll make it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their depth chart. It's C.J. Beathard is who would be starting for him if Trevor Lawrence can't go.
And C.J. Beathard didn't play phenomenally well when he was in San Francisco with one of the greatest rosters in the NFL. So,
yeah, and if they could decide to go with their third string emergency quarterback and call up Matt Barkley off the practice squad, but yeah, that I don't know that's any better than Beathard.
No, it's not. They might as well go get one of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders to come play quarterback for them, because they would probably do a lot better. And honestly, they're in a lot better shape. So I think the Panthers have a shot of upsetting the Jags this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And I'm about 45 minutes outside of Charlotte, so I'll get that game locally. So I'll be able to check that one out.
Interesting. Yeah, that'll be an interesting game. That'll be an interesting game for sure.
And I'm sorry.
I was going to say the people in Jacksonville have been calling for the GM's head for a couple years now. So if the Jags don't make playoffs this year, I don't foresee him coming back.
Yeah, the only thing that I think would salvage him, it kind of quietened everyone down with Doug Peterson. Like, they seemed pretty happy with his choice of head coach that he brought in. But if they miss the playoffs with this roster when everyone thought they was going to run away with the division this year, it basically puts them in the same position we was in last year when JR got fired, when we were supposed to be running away with it.
Yeah. I mean, we were in first place last year, and then squandered it.
Yeah, after 7-2 start or 7-3 start.
Mm-hmm.
Now look where we're at after that start. We're 5 of the next 23 games we've won at this point.
I think 5 of 23. Yeah,
something like that. But looking further in AFC South quarterback, there's a lot of injury report news coming in. CJ Stroud officially cleared protocol. Looks like he's 100% a go for Sunday.
It's going to be a tough game. The Texans game is going to be tough, especially that he's back, because he's a phenomenal player. There's no doubt about it. The Texans definitely got a good quarterback. They definitely, in my opinion, they got a phenomenal quarterback, had a phenomenal draft, and nailed it on head coach, as far as I'm seeing. So this weekend will be a tough game, very tough game.
Yeah, and they also have Nico Collins coming back as well. He's practiced so far every day this week. So it looks like they're getting their wide receiver back as well, which they was missing both of them and still beat us in Nashville. So
The only thing is that I will say that is looking good for us is the defensive line was for the Texans was the huge factor in the game against the Titans. It looks like the defense for the Texans has been just obliterated with injuries. A majority of their starters on the defensive line are not there, have not been practicing this week. So with that being said, and Steve Nelson for the Texans. So not only that defensive line, but the secondary has also taken some hits since we last played. So Steven Nelson, I think, is hurt. I think Jimmy Ward is also hurt for the Texans. So it's going to be a battle. I definitely think it'll be a battle all the way until the clock says 0-0-0 final. But CJ Stroud coming back makes it twice as hard, especially with Nico Collins being back as well.
Yeah, and the only good news that we have is Levis is back as well. So he's practice. He was limited in practice last week. He's a full participant every day this week. So it looks like he's going to at least rest and start the game. Whether he gets to finish it behind this offensive line is anybody's guess.
Well, you know who else has been practicing? Every Titans fan's number one favorite player, Caleb Farley. He's been back practicing since his dad tragically passed away in his home and his back surgery. So I don't think that Caleb Farley plays this weekend because he's only been a limited participant in practice from what I've seen. But I would like to see him see the field at least once before the season is over.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would at least be a nice redemption story after what happened with his dad and everything.
Yeah.
Because I'm from where he lives at, and they're in the Mooresville, Statesville area here in North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, when the Ring doorbell footage hit our local news, and it looked like an atomic bomb going off. I mean, it was terror. I don't see how anybody survived that, but apparently 2 people in the house did survive.
Oh, wow. I've not seen the Ring footage. I guess I need to.
Yeah, it's literally, there's a house there, and then the next thing it's like a pile of splinters laying on the ground. It's unbelievable.
Wow, that's really sad.
Yeah. So it'll be, I mean, I've been rooting for him. He went to high school here right near me. I seen him play a couple games in high school. I've been rooting for him to at least come back from, the back surgeries and this absolute tragic story. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. That is really sad. I do hope that, I doubt that I would be shocked if we pick up his 5th-year option.
Yeah, definitely not.
But I would like to see him come back next year and really contribute to the team somehow.
Yeah, I agree. Because if we don't pick up the 5th-year option, he does come back next year. He can at least earn that larger contract, that second contract.
Yeah.
But getting to Sunday's game here. So the O-line just rearing their ugly head again. After allowing 7 sacks against the Texans, they followed that up by allowing 6 sacks against the Seahawks. So 13 sacks in 2 weeks. And that's not counting, I think it was 14 or 15 additional pressures they allowed with those 13 sacks. So, I mean, do you think it's even wise at this point with this O-line? Should Levis come back and play on Sunday?
Well, I think Levis needs as much experience as possible to have a successful future as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I also think he needs to build more chemistry with DeAndre Hopkins, so that when we go into next year, that they can play better together. I think that there are a lot more positives that can come from it than negatives. unless he goes out there and tears an ACL or MCL, which I mean is definitely possible, but I think he would be back by the time the regular season started. I think he needs to, especially when these next two games that we have are divisional games for us. He needs to show not only the Jags but also the Texans that they should be looking at their schedule every year and should not be able to put an automatic W in that column. He's going to make them work for it. So I think he definitely needs to play this weekend. And I think he needs to play also for Mike Vrabel so that, because like I've told you multiple times, obviously you and I have different opinions on whether or not Mike Vrabel should be back or not. But I do think at the very least, I think Mike Vrabel is coaching for his job to some extent, whether it be this offseason or next offseason. And I also think that it's hard as an owner, in my opinion, to say that we should keep a coach when you go 0-6 in your division.
Yeah, I agree. I think no matter what happens, that Vrabel's coaching for his job next year. I think that next year, no matter what happens in these last two games, Vrabel's on the hot seat to compete in the AFC. Like, competing in the division won't even be enough. If we get to a play-in game week 18, I think that he's got to be competing, like winning at least one playoff game to keep his job. Considering these last 25 games or so.
I can see that. So I think it's imperative that Will Levis plays.
Oh, I agree. I'm of the mindset that if you're healthy, the young guy needs reps. Like if he's healthy enough to play, then he needs to be playing.
I also want to see if he goes out there with the chip on his shoulder against this team.
Yeah, that's what I want to see with this offensive line. They got completely embarrassed in Nashville, and do they go out there and try to make a statement? And they, in the pass protection, they didn't really make much of a statement, but they made some holes for Henry against the Seahawks, so they did show a little bit of pride there, but they wasn't going up against that Texans defensive line either.
Well, I also I've seen something the other day on social media about what the offensive line got for Christmas from Will Levis. About Will Levis and Ryan Tannehill. And I also think that the offensive line is playing for their jobs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, other than the left guard, I think everybody is on the chopping block this offseason.
Agreed.
It's hard to make an argument for anyone other than Peter Skronsky.
Yeah, I would get rid of a majority of them.
Both tackles at the very least.
Yeah. I think that Dillard, we should just cut him in the offseason to save us the money, because we signed him to a 3-year, $30 million contract. That's money that we could use.
Yeah, and but the guaranteed money was all in this first year, so we're taking on minimal dead cap by cutting him. Like, it was really a 1-year contract disguised as a 3-year. And so I think we're saving like 11 or 12 million by cutting him this offseason.
Yeah, which is nice.
A no-brainer.
I mean, that's additional money that we can go out and try and get L'Jarius Sneed from Kansas City.
Yeah, and the next topic, though, was that Henry bounce back game when against the Texans he set the NFL record for 10 yards on 20-plus touches. And for the first time that's been done, then he comes out against the Seahawks, averaging 4.6 a carry, getting 88 rushing yards and a touchdown. He got 11 receiving yards and 12 passing yards with a passing touchdown. So 111 total with 2 total touchdowns.
Like you said, Henry typically plays a lot better against the team once he's played them twice. And with the defensive line for the Texans being really battered right now, I'm not saying that Derrick Henry will run for 200 against them, but I think he'll have a much better game. If I am the offensive coordinator for the Titans, I'm watching the footage from the Titans and Texans game from a couple weeks ago, and I'm doing the exact opposite of what I did in that game.
Yeah, so not 200, but somewhere between 10 and 200, somewhere in the middle of it.
I would say 70 yards is a better just because of how beaten up the defensive line is. I think 70 yards. I still think that they're going to try and stop Derrick Henry, and they may be successful, but I think he will have at least 70 yards total for him, whether that be for receiving or rushing total.
And last note I have for the Seahawks game here is Tannehill's last goodbye. So with Levis coming back this week short of an injury, that's likely the last time we'll see Tannehill take the field. And it's kind of poetic justice that he got to come out there and perform one more time in front of the home fans before we let him hit the free market in March.
Yeah, it was definitely nice. He's done a lot for this franchise when he came. He had some really high highs and some really low lows. I think everyone knew that this season that Ryan Tannehill was playing for his job. I told myself and to any of my friends and family that besides a Super Bowl run, that this was more than likely going to be Ryan Tannehill's last year, because in my opinion, Ryan Tannehill isn't worth more than $30 million a year from what I've seen. So with that, it was definitely nice to see, but it's time we need to set the bar, and average should not be the bar for quarterback. In Tennessee, for the past 25 years, this franchise has really struggled with developing young quarterbacks and, really being contenders in the postseason. Besides that one season where we made it to the AFC Championship, we've really been non-existent in the playoffs. So I'm thankful for Ryan Tannehill for him coming in and really pushing the envelope for our franchise. But I don't think that I'm stuck in between a rock and a hard place, because he's not really had the offensive firepower he needed to really be a threat. But at the end of the day, you're the quarterback. It is your job to go and help people develop as well.
Yeah, I agree. And it's crazy to think we've made the playoffs up until, last year pretty much. But we had the one deep run in the playoffs, and he's the second best quarterback that we've ever had in Nashville. There's Warren Moon and everybody before Nashville, but in the Titans jersey, it's him and McNair pretty much. Well,
and Ryan Tannehill has, I think statistically, he has the most wins for our franchise as a Titan, yep. Which is great. But my mind automatically goes back to that Titans and Bengals game, where our defense did phenomenal. We held a pretty lethal offense to 19 points, and we set a record for 9 sacks in a playoff game. Which I'm sorry, but if your defense is sacking the opposing quarterback 9 times, you better be offense. You need to step up. And unfortunately, we didn't, and that stems from poor Ryan Tannehill play. And maybe this will be a wake up call to Will Levis too. Like this is the bar that you need to be playing at. Otherwise, you'll get the boot as well.
Yeah, and Malik, he got that message. So we're been searching for a quarterback. So hopefully, Will Levis is it.
I hope so. I really like Rand. I like some of the draft choices he's made. Obviously, Peter Skoronski, first round pick. We have high expectations, but he's a rookie. Will Levis is a rookie, so they're definitely going to need some time to develop. Peter Skoronski's had some ups and some downs this season. You know, I've seen some really good play and I've seen some really bad play, but as a guard, you can only do so much based upon the other people around you. So I'm interested to see what this offseason brings for us with all the cap money that we have. Right now, we have a top 10 pick. I think we have a top 10 pick no matter what.
Yeah, I think so.
I would like us to be number 5 just so that we have a shot at like potentially getting Marvin Harrison Jr. or one of the 2 really good offensive tackles that are going into this draft. I think the tackle from Notre Dame, I think if I'm thinking correctly, he hasn't allowed a sack in 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
That would be phenomenal for Will Levis. If he had more time to throw to a wide receiver, we could be a threat.
Yeah, I was in the group arguing with someone over the weekend that they're making the argument that if we make it into the top 5, then we should take the number 1 tight end because he's such a receiving threat. But to me, if you're in the top 5, like if Will Levis is getting sacked 70 times on the season, who's running downfield ain't going to matter so much. Like if we make it up there and that tackle's available, I think we got to take him.
I can see the thought process there, but also we could use that tight end not only as a receiving threat, but also to help block as well. And so that may not be a bad. Then again, everyone thought Sam Laporta was going to be taken in the first round as well. So I don't know if Brock Bowers will be a first round pick.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I would be surprised if he's taken up there with Marvin Harrison Jr. and those tackles. I think that those have to get off the board before the tight end does, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree as well. I don't foresee him going in the first round, especially because I don't think he's played a whole lot this season. If I remember correctly, I thought he skipped a couple games.
Yeah.
I think if he's available in the second round, come day 2, that would be phenomenal for us.
Talking about the draft, on Sunday we try to improve that draft stock a little bit more. So, the number one thing, it's been the talking point for the last couple weeks, and does Henry and Hopkins finally both get over 1,000 yards? So Henry is 28 rushing yards from 1,000, and Hopkins is 61 receiving yards from 1,000. So I think Henry for sure, unless it's another historical performance by this defense, I think Henry gets 1,000 this week. Hopkins is the question, but it would be kind of poetic for him to hit that. He hasn't had 1,000 yards in 3 seasons, so for him to get back to 1,000-yard receiving season in that building where they traded him out, so
that would be nice. That would be like a Cinderella moment.
I agree.
Honestly, for both of them, just because of how dominant Derrick Henry has been historically against the Texans franchise, and with everything that happened with the Texans, I think that both happen. I do think that both happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll both happen. Something I was thinking about today, though. 3 years ago, was it three years ago, when Henry was in the Texans building during week 17, and he hit 2,000 yards. And now we're talking about, can he maybe hit 1,000 yards there at week 17. Like, how times have changed.
That is true. That is true. Well, and that also stems from offensive line play. And look at how the Texans were, where they were at 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, three seasons ago, we had Lawan Saffel, Ben Jones. I mean, we had all pros across the board on the offensive line.
We did.
We also had an actual fullback on the roster that was blocking for him out of the I formation instead of backup tight ends.
That is true.
But the big matchup that's coming into this game, where finally we thought we'd get it a couple weeks ago and a concussion took it away from us. We're finally getting Stroud versus Levis this week. So you think who's going to outperform? You got Levis. He's got Hopkins, but Stroud's coming back with Nico Collins back as well.
I'm torn here. I'm really torn. I do think that their numbers will be similar, no matter what. Because I know that Will Levis wants to play spoiler to the Texans and to the Jags for their playoff dreams, just because they're divisional opponents. We obviously don't want them to do well. I think that Stroud comes out with the W, though.
Yeah, I think that Levis will have better numbers, but I think Stroud wins the game. I think Levis has better numbers because Stroud's going to win the game. We're going to be playing catch up in the second half.
Okay. I can see
that. That was my next point, the Titanic revenge game, for they eliminated us from the playoffs officially 2 weeks ago. If they win their final 2 games, they're almost guaranteed the playoffs at that point.
I think they would be.
Yeah, I think the Bills can play spoiler to them, but it would be a very low percentage thing for them to miss the playoffs if they win these final 2.
Mm-hmm.
But
they would definitely because if Texans win the next 2 games, one of which is against the Colts, if they beat the Colts, then I think that would almost guarantee that they make it in, because they would knock the Colts out.
Yeah, the Colts would be out. I think the Colts are out right now, actually.
No, I think they're number 7, and I think the Bills are in. I think it goes Browns, Bills, Colts.
Steelers,
yeah. So I think it's Browns, Bills, Colts, and I think if the Texans beat the Colts, and if Texans win the next 2 games, I think that they've basically guaranteed a playoff spot.
Yeah, looking at the if they win the next 2 and the Bengals lose 1, then they're guaranteed a playoff spot.
Okay. Which, how the Bengals played last week isn't far off.
Yeah, so if they lose this game, though, then we can play spoiler to them with helping that their chances would go from about 50-50 if they lose this game to down to about 10%. So we could get a revenge game on them this week. Really, the Titans' best Super Bowl to end this season would be to get revenge on the Texans for eliminating us this week, and then to play spoiler on the Jags next week and get the Colts into the playoffs as the division champ.
See, here's the thing, though. I almost want all 3 teams to make the playoffs so that they have higher draft spots, so that they don't have as good of an opportunity to draft as good players. Yeah. Think smarter, not harder.
Let them all log jam down around that 20th pick in the draft.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice.
So, with that being said, what's your prediction for this week? You think the Texans just run away with this one?
I think Texans win. I think Texans win 31 to 27.
127. I like it. Yeah, I was thinking similar. I was thinking like a 28 to 24. And like I said, we're going to be down multiple scores in the fourth quarter, and it's going to just be Will Levis throwing us back into the game for cosmetic touchdowns.
But I also, one thing I hate about Will Levis, but I also love at the same time, he plays so much better when we're behind.
Oh yeah.
It's almost unrealistic. It's like the Titans don't know how to be up, like, and win the game.
Yeah, and I put that on Tim Kelly. Like he calls the game totally different whenever it's a one-score game, and then we get down by 10, and it's like he just turns it over to Will Levis.
Yeah, it's like as soon as we're down 10 points, Will Levis becomes Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing to have, but it's not good for my blood pressure.
Yeah, it's not good for Vegas either. I'm sure they have a hell of a time trying to predict what's going to happen in these Titans games.
Yeah. Because I mean we were up 13-0 against the Texans after I think they turned the ball over, or I think we Yeah. And then we just forgot how to play football.
Yeah, and then against the Seahawks, Vegas had us minus 3 point, or had us plus 3.5 favorites at kickoff, and then we led from kickoff all the way till 1 minute left in the game. We was in the lead, and they had shifted it to we was minus 6 point favorites at the end, and then instantly we just collapse and lose the game. And I think at the end they had us back at like a +4 or something. Like it was just crazy swings on the live lines in Vegas.
And that just like the Texans game, the Seahawks game, and the second Colts game, we were winning the majority of the game, and then we just self-imploded. Those 3 games, had we won those 3 games, we would be fighting for a playoff spot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with those 3 wins, we're 8-7. It's a 4-way tie in the division. Well, no, because the Colts and Texans would be a game behind if we won those games.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would be tied with the Jags for division lead right now if we just hold on and finish out the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and then the same thing with the Dolphins game. I think we were neck and neck, and then all of a sudden we're down 14 points, and then here comes Tom Brady, 3 minutes left against the Dolphins, and we win.
Yeah, we was winning the Dolphins game the whole game until we had 2 fumbles in 2 plays that set them up with the muff punt and then the botched toss to Henry.
No, we weren't winning the entire game because didn't we throw a pick 6 in like the first quarter?
Yeah, but after that we were winning at halftime. We was winning going into the fourth.
Okay.
They didn't score an offensive touchdown until the muff punt was their first offensive touchdown.
Don't get me started on muff punts.
Yeah, I think it was they scored 3 touchdowns, and on those 3 touchdowns, on not just the plays, but the entire drives for those 3 touchdowns was 19 total yards because they were all turnovers.
I have PTSD from muffed punts.
Yeah, that might be where if we get a top 5 pick, maybe we need a punt returner. We've been searching for that for a while too, since Adoree Jackson, I think.
We need to call. We need to call the Seahawks and ask for David Putney.
Yeah, Need to do something.
That was a draft day movie joke. You had to watch the movie to get it.
Draft day for which movie?
It's called Draft Day. It has Kevin Costner, who is the general manager of the Cleveland Browns. You need to watch the movie.
Yeah. Draft Day. I'm put it in my queue right now.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to message you weekly until you watch it.
No, next week I'm going to have a review. It's going to be part of the podcast next week.
Okay. It also has Jennifer Gardner in it as well.
Oh, what's that?
Jennifer Gardner. She's also in it as well.
But I had something for you to review real quick.
Okay.
Do you watch college football?
Not as intently as I do NFL, but I could carry on a conversation about college football though.
So I don't know if you watched the Mayo Bowl this weekend. That was the West Virginia versus Carolina Tar Heels game.
I did not watch that game.
So West Virginia won the game pretty handedly, and after the game, West Virginia's head coach lived out every Titans fan's dream. So I was just going to get your thoughts on it.
How did he live out every Titans fan's dream?
Instead of Gatorade being dumped on him, it was 5 gallons of mayo.
Oh my God. That is so funny. When you say Mayo Bowl, my thought instantly went to, was Will Levis there to be the one to flip the coin or something? Like, he should have been there. He needed to capitalize on that since he has the lifetime supply of Hellman's mayonnaise. Yeah,
I think that's the only problem, is that he's the Hellman's representative and Duke's sponsored the Mayo Bowl, so I don't think that Hellman's would allow him.
He still should have gone just for pure humor.
Yeah, could you imagine if that was him inside of the suit here and just rips the suit off? It's Will Levis in there.
You know what? We should make a petition amongst Titans fans that if we play spoiler to the Texans or to the Jags, that we should be able to dump mayonnaise on Will Levis.
I'm there for it. I'd love to see
I'm gonna go to change.org tonight. Mark my words. Change.org tonight. I'm gonna send you the petition that we are going to make a petition to dump mayonnaise on Will Levis. And then I'm gonna call Hellman's and get a representative to get on board with it.
We'll send it out on the official X account. So.
Yes.
But we'll be watching for that petition. I think that'll wrap us up this week. We'll leave on the Mayo note and just remind everybody to go to fanbattlesports.com. But you want to shout out your social medias, let everybody know where to find you?
If you want to follow me on Instagram, it is Manning of Still 18. Or if you want to add me on Facebook, it is Tyler D. Warren.
All right. Everybody have a Happy New Year. It'll be the new year by the time we see y'all again. So
that's true. See y'all next year.
Yep.
Have a good